As Dominicans react to the death of Kurt Shaba James, one activist calls for stronger laws to eliminate loopholes for sex offenders. National consultations to pave the way for the expansion of production at the National Abattoir, and Dominicans raise thousands to meet medical costs for the country's first Prime Minister. I'm Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News. Details coming up. Thank you for staying with us. We begin in Antigua, where police continue to investigate how convicted rapist Kurt Shaba James entered their country following his shooting death on Sunday.
Antigua police officers shot and killed James in an apartment in an area called Carlisle in Antigua, where he lived. James, also known as Shaba, is a multiple offender. The crimes he has been found guilty of include rape more than once, resisting arrest, and threatening to kill his landlady. He has also been charged with burglary, theft, and obtaining property by deception. Antigua's police PRO told Channel 5 News the police had received a tip on James when they went to apprehend him on Sunday.
The police, on receiving information yesterday morning, Sunday, in the Carlisle area, which is an area close to the Sir International Airport, that the subject that we're referring to was hiding out. And the police, having gone there and surrounded the premises and identified themselves, they were confronted with a barrage of gunfire, and the police in return fire shot and injured Kurt Shaba James. He was rushed to the hospital, however, he succumbed to the injuries.
Sergeant Thomas would not say why the police were interested in James. However, he said they are aware James is wanted in Dominica for sex crimes.
As we speak, other investigations are being conducted. The police have so far since recovered 2 firearms from the scene of the incident, including other evidential materials, which all forms part of an ongoing investigation.
A picture circulating via media shows James lying in a pool of blood, shirtless, and a shotgun near his hand. An arrest warrant has been out for James since July 2015 in Dominica because he failed to show up for a matter at the Roseau High Court and had not issued an excuse. He was granted bail while on remand at the Stock Farm State Prison, awaiting trial into a sex offense. It is believed he came to Antigua by boat from Barbados, where he was initially staying after leaving Dominica. Sergeant Thomas says they have not yet determined how long he has been staying in the sister OECS island. A coroner's inquest and autopsy have to be conducted before arrangements to have his body shipped to island. Idona Jean-Baptiste, Channel 5 News.
And while some people are celebrating the death of Kurt James and have commended the Antigua police, a women's welfare advocate and pro-life activist has weighed in on Shaba's death. Idona Jean-Baptiste has more.
Delia Coffey Wicks, who has been vocal about the protection of women and girls against sex offenders, says James's death does not necessarily mean justice has been served.
I do not believe that justice has been served. Kurt is now dead. So that is one convicted rapist that we no longer have to worry about. And so all of his victims can now rest a little bit more easy. But that does not solve the problem. We need to develop an approach to deal with crimes of that nature. On the one hand, we need the people for educating our people so that we can approach these kinds of crimes doing the preventative work.
Wicks, who has presented a petition to government to have the legal age of consent for sexual activity increased from 16 to 18, says the authorities should ensure laws are strong enough to prevent offenders from escaping through legal loopholes.
And when they are convicted, that they get sentenced that suit the crime. And thirdly, but not necessarily last, we need to assist the victims. We need to move them from being victims to being survivors, and hopefully from survivors to advocates.
Meantime, an activist for the Respect of Life movement says it's an injustice for society to have been constantly tormented by James's behavior.
When something like this happens, I think it reflects on our indifference to one another. Okay, so we are saying, yes, I said those who play with fire will get burned. Those who live by the sword will die by the sword. It is unfortunate that, you know, Shaba lost his life that way. And we know, I know there are people, nurses, so many people who are afraid to walk the streets after hours. I have family, I have friends, I have sisters, and so on. So somebody like that should not have that kind of liberty to torment people, and so I can understand. So all this reflects on us as a people. When one of our own ends his life that way. And I pray that for 2016, even in our own country, that there will be less crimes happening.
We move now to Dominicans here and abroad who have pledged over $20,000 in support of Dominica's first Prime Minister, Patrick John. John is diagnosed with heart problems and was admitted to the Princess Margaret Hospital on 29th December. He was released the day after, but was readmitted on January 3rd after he complained of shortness of breath. Q95 FM held a radiothon on Monday to raise funds to assist Mr. John in obtaining medical attention overseas. Patrick John was Dominica's Prime Minister from July 1978 to 1979. In other news now, livestock farmers will be engaged in a series of consultations this week as the National Abattoir prepares to expand its production. Operations manager at the abattoir says the meeting with farmers are to ensure a steady supply of meat for production. Following the meetings, the abattoir will be better positioned to supply pork and poultry for the local market. The first consultation will start on Tuesday, 5th January, and will target farmers in the east and southeast.
It is a consultation whereby we could have the farmers inform us of the expectations, and likewise we, the management, will tell them of the expectations we have or we expect from them. Our first function consultation will be at the Lapland Training Center tomorrow from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And that consultation in Lapland is for farmers from Casabros all the way back to Delis. The next consultation will be for the farmers in the south, held on Wednesday at the Fisheries Conference Room in Roseau from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And the next consultation will be held in Portsmouth Agricultural Station on Thursday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m.
ATN says feedback from the public towards the meat products was good. However, more has to be taken into consideration when the abattoir launches into large-scale production.
Dominicans, by and large, are very, very excited about what we're doing. They feel like this is the way forward. We want to create a premium product that Dominicans will not be able to tell the difference from what is being imported and what we have now. So it's paramount for us. We have to ensure that we negotiate with the farmers, we consult with them, and we get every necessary information that is required so that when we move forward, we do it the correct way.
While the abattoir aims to produce top quality meat for Dominican, the price at which pork and poultry were sold during Christmas 2015 is likely to change.
That was an introductory price. We have to do the branding, we have to do the marketing. This is going to incorporate some of the expenses for us. So at the end of the day, we'll ensure that it is manageable, it is affordable, it is premium, and it's great tasting. This facility has the capacity to do what it was built for, and this is to produce enough pork and poultry to the extent whereby our importation bill will be reduced drastically.
A definite date for the large-scale production of meat products from the National Abattoir was not given. A stock farm man has been denied bail for possession of over $5 million worth of cocaine. Anthony John Baptist of 68 Simon Bolivar is alleged to have been in possession of 190,000 grams of cocaine. He pleaded not guilty to charges of intent to supply. The Financial Intelligence Unit, FIU, has indicated to the court their interest in assets of John Baptist associated with the matter. Anthony John Baptist is represented by Gina Diamond Road. His trial date is set for April 21, 2016. Special focus to be placed on preschool-age children for Drug Awareness Month. January is observed as Drug Awareness Month. It's a time when the unit annually carries out numerous activities seeking to lessen the impact of illegal drugs on the society. The theme for this year's Drug Awareness Month is Let's Develop Our Lives, Our Communities, Our Identities Without Drugs.
We want to do something different this year. We want to do a whistle stop at the preschools in Roseau. This year we said we'll focus on the Roseau catchment area because there are a number of preschools in Roseau, so we'll be visiting those preschools. Early intervention is important because people are saying, okay, in spite of all what you're doing, you still have a drug problem. We'll always have a drug problem. If we can take them very early and help them to know the dangers that that are associated with drug use, I think would be doing justice to those students. And we're talking about sustainability. We're talking about a better place to live in, a safe place to live in.
Banis says households must play a stronger role in reducing drug use among children.
The other thing is, yes, you work with the children, but the parents themselves have to play their part. I will tell you the truth. I mean, even when I do programs at the prison, when you analyze the whole situation, it goes back to the household. And I do not want people to think, well, the school has the answer. The school doesn't have the answer for it. It all starts with the home. And I think parents have to begin to look at their role differently, not just providing pants, shirt, uniform for students, but also to give that emotional support, that psychological support that they need.
An awards ceremony is also on the cards for school children as the unit continues its work in sensitizing the youth on the ill effects of substance use and abuse.
One of the highlights of the Drug Awareness Month this year is what we call the Peer Helpers Awards ceremony. Usually we do it in September, but because of Tropical Storm Erica, we could not do it at that time. Now, the Peer Helper is a program that we started 3 years ago, so this will be the 3rd anniversary, where we have students in the primary schools who we do workshop with, and they are able to go across the school to do sessions with the younger ones. They organize programs in the schools, and that is one way of rewarding them.
A drug is defined as any substance which, when ingested, affects the normal functioning of the human body. Coming up, what the National Council of Women plans to do to help give women a fighting chance against domestic violence. Welcome back. Police have arrested 2 people in connection with the death of 51-year-old Byron Williams of Salisbury. Williams's death is the first homicide of the year, and it has rocked the community of Salisbury. Police are also investigating the unusual death of 2 others from Salisbury. A body found near the Lodge building on the 1st of January at 7:30 a.m. en route to Kingshill has been identified as William John Charles from Salisbury. He was known as Drago, a vagrant who lived in Roseau. And on Wednesday, December 30th, 2015, 43-year-old Bernadine Vidal was found in an unconscious state, lying face up on a bed in her Salisbury home with a greenish substance on her lips. An over-decade-long dispute between the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union, WAWU, and the management of the Dominica Air and Seaports Authority is expected to get some attention this year. Head of WAWU, Curtis Augustus, said a concerted effort will be made in 2016 to seek to address the matter relating to working conditions and benefits for port employees.
This question of the port dispute continues to be of concern to us because this dispute is now going for in excess of 13 years and we have not been able to find resolution to this matter. So we believe that the efforts must be made in 2016 to put to our backs the question of this dispute and to advance the process of relationship with the Dominica Air and Seaport Authority. It doesn't indicate that we do not have a good relation, but it's just to show you that this situation that have been going for the past 13 years is still unresolved.
Augustus says the matter is now at the level of the tribunal for resolution.
It was about a number of things. The reduced manning scales, the reduced numbers that were engaged in the discharge of cargo, what we constituted the gang, the reduced rates that were applicable at the time, reduced benefits that workers enjoyed. Okay, we have done some minute little amendments on our own, and I always believe that when a matter goes to the level of a tribunal, it doesn't prevent the parties from meeting and finding a resolution and then informing the tribunal that they no longer have jurisdiction or they no longer ask to determine the matter, since we have determined the matter between ourselves.
The Director of Public Prosecution, Evelina Baptist, says 2015 was a challenging year due to a rise in serious crime, but she anticipates reform in the criminal justice system. Baptist says she is concerned about the increase in sexual offenses and burglary in Dominica.
The public have complained about certain things, but I can tell you, I feel very confident going forward that we're going to see some changes and some reform in the criminal justice system in Dominica. And that is important because it affects our economic and our social development. Yeah, think about it. I mean, if you have too many burglaries or other crimes on business places, they probably will end up shutting down.
She appeals for a united effort to address the issue of violence and crime in the country.
If you're not involved as a community, then where are we going? You have to want it to happen. You have to want crime to be abated. We have issues with the status of the law and maybe with some of the systems that we now use, because they were old systems. And we are hoping that that matter can be looked into, especially sentencing, because I've heard the public talk a lot about sentencing, the sentence that criminals obtain, and this is an issue that is pressing, especially as it relates now to sexual offenses.
She says she hopes these issues will extend to other issues affecting Dominica. A 24-hour hotline service is among plans for the Dominica National Council of Women in 2016 to tackle domestic violence. An executive member of the non-government organization describes 2015 as a challenging year. Zilma Charles says this year the organization is working on a few new plans.
We will be having a 24-hour hotline where persons can call in. Persons are now being trained to man that hotline. So we're hoping that these two can also assist, but we'll continue to lobby for legislation to assist women who are in situations of abuse or in domestic situations where it's very difficult for them. As an NGO, we continue to lobby with the government organizations. We work alongside the Women and Gender Bureau, and we continue to also work with our international partners, UN Women and CARIWA, that's our Caribbean Women's Network, in advocating for and on behalf of these persons who have been abused or in situations of domestic violence.
Charles says despite the challenges, they were able to accomplish the Onion and Sorrel project in the Northeast and the ongoing counseling support programs. The DNCW was also able to receive support from organizations such as UN Women and AICA. The DNCW promises to continue its support of the Sustainable Livelihood projects with women.
We also intend to strengthen our support base to victims of gender-based violence and endeavor to strengthen the capacity of our women throughout Dominica. As we look forward to 2016, let us work together to strengthen our family bonds and create stronger community relations for the greater good of all. So if we have more collaboration, more partnership, then we can have a better network to support these women. And we also hope that our government can look into something during this 2016 in terms of providing a bit more support for persons who are victims of abuse or just domestic violence.
That's news. Sports highlights next with Kenny Williams.
Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us. We begin with cricket. The West Indies' chance of avoiding a whitewash was improved on the second day of their third test against Australia when constant rain came to their aid after just 68 deliveries. In the first innings, Craig Brathwaite top scored with 85 from 174 balls and Carlos Brathwaite with 69 from 71. The Windies ended the second day on 248 for 7 as more rain is expected on the third day of play, which could mean a draw for the test match. James Patterson took 2 for 67 and Nathan Lyon 2 for 78 for Australia. Moving to Cape Town, where Ben Stokes stole the spotlight with a double century in the test between England and South Africa that started over the weekend. England, first at the crease, declared on 629 for 6. Ben Stokes showed the most resistance for the visitors when he scored an impressive 258, with Johnny Bairstow adding 150. Kagiso Rabada took 3 for 175, Chris Morris 1 for 150, and Moran Morkel 1 for 114 for South Africa. Hasim Alma was not out for 157 and AB de Villiers 88. South Africa ending day 3 on 353 for 3. Still in cricket, Surgical General Somerset of St. Joseph has broadened its community outreach program to include children in the community. On Sunday, the club hosted a party for children where they were treated with snacks and entertainment. Approximately 23 children were provided with a gift, compliments the St. Vincent de Paul Society of the St. Joseph Roman Catholic Church, and a kind benefactor from St. Joseph residing in the U.S. On Christmas Day, the club provided meals to 14 economically disadvantaged people in the community. In football, President of DFA Glenn Etienne spoke with Channel 5 Sports about the plans the association has for football in 2016. Etienne says the ongoing leagues will resume and the local football governing body will introduce new initiatives to football for the year.
We're going for the female and the male. So that is something new because we realize if we have to compete with the rest of but not the world, the Caribbean and the region, that we have to start at the early age, and we are definitely going to look at the under-14 league and the under-17 league.
The Windward Islands tournament is also on the cards for 2016.
We have our Windward tournament, women, which is going to be held in Dominica, and the men tournament is going to be held in St. Vincent.
Meantime, DFA advises football clubs of an additional transfer window for the football season. Moving on to track and field. President of the Dominica Amateur Athletics Association, Cedric Harris, says, despite challenges in 2015, the association hopes for improved conditions for track and field development in 2016.
More availability, access to arenas that we can have our competitions, because in athletics, no matter how much you train, but if you don't get an opportunity to compete, then all the training is going to go to waste.
He says the current facilities in place for training are inadequate in assisting athletes in their development stage.
We have challenge in Dominica, like many other islands, but if you look right before us, that's where most of our athletes train, in the Botanic Gardens, and it's not the best of places that you want your athletes, especially in peak period meaning competition period, where you want to get him or her sharp for competition. The place is very undulating and very stressful on the body. So hoping that getting access to better training facilities and competition facilities.
And finally, in four-hand domino, There were wins in Zone A and B in the New Mem Domino League on Sunday. In Zone B, Task Force beat Stars 4,008 to 2,600. 1,284 points separated the winning metrics from a losing Barbie 007. Valiance defeated Giants 4,016 to 3,855. Mon4thJan showed Homeboys who was boss with a 284 points difference, and Dolphins and Rebels battled to a 4,012 to 3,399 points finish. In Zone A, the scores were 4,056 and 2,793 for Mams Execute and Jam Down respectively. Skills won over Rabbit Hole by 845 points. Golden Arms and Tamarind City played to a 4,003 and 3,744 points finish. Swansea crushed Fire Services by 754 points, and Remix beat Martian by default. That's all the time we have for sports. I am Kenny Williams. Join us again next time.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. I will be your presenter for this evening. Farah Rock Career. Weak, unstable conditions resulted in mostly cloudy skies across the region today. Earlier visible satellite imagery showed an increasing cloudiness, mainly over the central portion of the Lesser Antilles by afternoon. Earlier radar imagery indicated some scattered shower activity, again mainly over the central portion of the islands. Tonight, the weather is expected to be mostly cloudy with showers. These conditions will persist into tomorrow. The marine conditions are expected to be moderate and waves will be up to 8 feet. All users of the sea, particularly on the eastern coast, should continue to exercise caution. The weather Tuesday and Wednesday, mostly cloudy with showers. A relative improvement is expected by Thursday. The rest of the Caribbean can expect mostly cloudy skies with showers tomorrow, as weak and stable conditions will continue to dominate the weather conditions. The international city forecast: lower temperatures are expected across New York and Beijing. Thunderstorm activity in Caracas and partly cloudy skies with some showers are expected in Miami and London. The sun will rise tomorrow at 6:33 a.m. and set at 5:48 p.m. Feel free to visit our website at weather.gov.dm or call the weather hotline at 447-5555. Join us tomorrow evening for our next weather broadcast. Thank you.
To end the news, the headlines again. As Dominicans react to the death of Kurt Shaba James, one activist calls for stronger laws to eliminate loopholes for sex offenders. National consultations to pave the way for the expansion of production at the National Abattoir. And Dominicans raise thousands to meet medical costs for the country's first Prime Minister. Email us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our newscasts on our YouTube page. I am Andrea Lee. On behalf of the entire production team, Happy New Year!